60 seconds, one story, but we're going to do a little bit different today. We're going to talk about a very interesting philosopher by the name Alexander Dugin. As you're probably aware, I'm into philosophy, and it's great to discuss it from time to time. First, let's debunk some stupidity. There's a lot of stupidity out there these days. It's sometimes difficult for everybody to deal with. I know the best thing to do is, if you're a little bit older, you're a parent, just consider that if somebody's being stupid, they're like the age 10, 11, 12 maturity. So treat them accordingly. Give them a verbal slap, do whatever you would normally do with a 10, 11, 12-year-old that's being cheeky. That's how I see it. Now, let's discuss Alexander Dugin. I'm not completely across all of his work. I've got one of his books, I haven't got to finish it yet. But he is mischaracterized in the media quite a lot. And it's really hilarious when they do it, because they'll say that he is wanting to establish the USSR and Putin listens to him, so he wants to establish the USSR. And these people will literally provide the evidence that they're stupid in their own words. Like, it's hilarious because he actually calls that the extreme, like fascism and communism are like the extreme left and right of modernity. So it's a period of time. And the other ideology of modernity is liberalism. So to discuss what liberalism means, he will talk about, and I guess it's really easy. People know what liberalism is, but they don't know the word is liberalism that associates with what it is. So when you see Occupy Wall Street and they're fighting against the system, it's liberalism. When you see people say the capitalists are no good and they want to believe in socialism, they don't really want to do socialism. They don't really know what that is. But what they're fighting against is liberalism. When people say this system's bullshit and the jobs are going overseas and our rates are going up, this is liberalism. What's liberalism? It's transnational. It's the idea that it's kind of an extension after the Magna Carta, actually. That's really where the power base comes from. So it's from capitalists, bourgeoisie, call them what you want, owners, and they cross the border. They will have tax havens, they will live in places like Monaco, they will do these sorts of things. They will have no allegiance to anything but their money and each other. And they will do all sorts of deals all over the world to maintain their power and continue to make money. And it gets harder and harder, so they get more exploitative and more exploitative, and they really carve each other up as well. A misconception is the liberalists are really trying to attack us. It's not true. They just don't care about us. So we're just peasants. We're just maggots. Give them just enough to survive. There's a whole lot of crap going on in the whole system. For example, people think $1 million is a lot of money. $1 million doesn't exist. It's a construct. It's not real. You can print out the money and say, I've got $1 million, and it means almost the same. The difference is it will exchange for this and that. But what's the value of it? I'll tell you an interesting thing. You look at Elon Musk, and his worth is 400 billion. And at the turn of the century, 1800s to 1900s, Rockefeller was worth $1 billion. Rockefeller pretty much had the entire US oil market, and he's worth $1 billion. Elon Musk owns a semi-successful small electric car company. Frankly, he's small in the scheme of the market. A crappy SpaceX program, which is very not even great technology. You know, here's NASA, we're going to privatize, we're going to do less than we used to do, and we just use boosters, and we'll just tell them that it's great, and they won't know better. No space stations, nothing particularly special. Obviously a very successful business person, and I like Elon Musk, he's cool. But he's not anywhere near as rich as what Rockefeller was. But Rockefeller was worth $1 billion, and this guy's worth 400. So that tells you, if he was half the value, let's say he was half the value of Rockefeller, the fair value, then that's like 800 billion to 1. That's the inflation, or there's a word for it, it's escaping me. And that's liberalism. Okay, it's not reality. They create it. They create the reality, and it's catching up to them. So he calls it a soulless ideology. And if you think that liberalism or modern capitalism, what do you want to call it, our system is not soulless, just walk down a city street and watch how many homeless people there are. Just watch how many homeless people there are. We've got trillions of dollars to throw missiles at poor people so we can steal their oil, or control the world so we can steal the oil. Remember, it's all about stealing the oil, stealing the gas, stealing the gold, stealing the uranium. That's what this is about. It's not about justice, and it's just about getting to the resources. And the reason they kind of are messing around with Russia right now is because Russia is messing around with their interests in West Africa, and can step in different parts of the world and mess with them. China's doing the same. That's all it is. So the neoliberals will do business with these people. Goldman Sachs is one of the leading groups here. They'll do business with Russia, but they don't like the way that they interfere. See, so that's what Dugin was talking about, and so he was saying that the ultimate neoliberal timeline, it becomes transhuman, it becomes anti-human. It is anti-human anyway, because what it says is if you can't eat, it's your fault. Yeah, but you've got five tons of food that you're just sitting there, and I'm hungry. Go find your own. This is mine. This is mine. That's liberalism, individualism, and ultimately it's an individualism, and it's a brainwash, which is the idea that Marx understood. But the answer isn't communism, and this is what Dugin is saying. The answer isn't another ideology that's from that era, because they're all bad, and they don't match this era. So the ideology is something new, which you're seeing. Putin is an example. Trump is an example. Xi is an example. And that's about it. Oh, there's others. I'm sure there's others, but there's not that many. But they're coming through. And what is that? No more left and right. We don't care about left and right. It's populism. It's what do people want? Can we stop governing through the minority? This is what he's saying. Our system's governed through the minority instead of governing through the majority, which ends up being communism or fascism if you're in modernity. So we have to find another way of doing it. And that might be back to religion. That might be lots of different things. I have my own thoughts on this. Actually, it's pretty aligned with some of the stuff I'll do, but I'm not ready to discuss any of that. It's not well developed enough. But that's Alexander Dugin, and what are the liberalists? So when you say liberalism, neoliberals, liberalism, Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, Blinken, Newland, Klaus Schwab, Christine Lagarde, all of the Brussels, this is who they are. They've been colonizing the world. They've got all this capital, and there's all these capitalists, and they're trying to hold on to it. And they believe that their job is to run the world because we're just stupid. We don't know anything. See? So, and that's the system that we're under that controls the world. And the US government is on top of that, right? But it's not really the government. See, it's that class of people. And Trump came in and said, you know what? America first. And what that is that's a shot across the bow. See? Because liberalists don't say America first. The globalists, they say our pocket first. That's all they care about. Power, control, and money. And Dugin identified that. And why? Because it's an individualism. It's an individualistic philosophy. So they lie to you and say the ultimate freedom is as an individual. And Dugin's philosophy will talk about how the ultimate freedom is understood collectively, not individually. And we're not individual creatures. And we're not. We're just not individual creatures. We're communal. This is why we're talking to cameras at each other. We're communal. We don't exist in. We have individuals, but not that much. Once you start observing people a lot, you'll notice that there's not that much variation. People sort of fulfill a number of roles. People like me fulfill a specific role within the troop of chimps. We watch. They're called protagonists. You watch, your heart's on your sleeve, you really don't care if you get in trouble, and you'll speak to the boss and tell him to get stuffed. But if he asks you to do something, you'll get it done. There's a group of people like that. That's not an individual. There's a group, but you are part of that group. And where does this all end up? Dugin says if we continue with liberalism and it doesn't get removed, transhumanism. We already have people identifying as things other than human. This is a natural progression of individualism. Individualism ends up saying, I'm not part of any group. I'm not even a woman. I'm